The galaxy was a vast and incredible place. Among the countless planets and countless species, Earth was often considered nothing more than a speck of dust, hidden in the corner of the Milky Way. To the beings that lived in the stars, humans were just another primitive race, struggling to survive on a small blue planet. The galaxy had seen many civilizations rise and fall, some so advanced that they could manipulate time and space. But Earth was different. It was full of wonder and potential, but it hadn't yet caught up with the other civilizations. Its people had only recently learned to travel to the moon, and their most powerful ships could barely reach the edge of their solar system. At a grand meeting of the galaxy's most powerful leaders and beings, Earth's name was brought up, but it wasn't mentioned with respect. The High Council of Galactic Species gathered in a massive hall, an enormous dome floating in the center of a distant star system. Representatives from dozens of planets sat around a round table, their minds and technology far beyond anything humanity could dream of. Most were kind, but many were dismissive of Earth, seeing it as a planet too young, too unrefined to be taken seriously. Why bother with them? A reptilian leader named Zokr sneered. Their ships can barely leave their own atmosphere. We've seen no evidence that Earth is worth any attention. A sleek, silver-skinned alien from the planet Viora spoke next. Their people are primitive. They've only just begun to understand the basics of space travel. It's hard to imagine how they could ever be useful to us. The council members chuckled. There was a general consensus that Earth had nothing to offer. Humans, with their fragile bodies and unpredictable ways, seemed unimportant. There were whispers of them trying to join galactic alliances, but the idea was laughed off every time. Who would take them seriously? One of the youngest members, a species of beings with multiple arms and glowing eyes, piped up. But perhaps we should at least give them a chance. We never know what might come from their creativity and resourcefulness. This idea was quickly dismissed by the others. Let them work on their little projects, Zokr said with a wave of his hand. When they prove themselves, then we'll talk. In the corner of the room, hidden from the attention of the council, a human child sat quietly, observing. Ellie was only 12 years old, but she had been brought along to the meeting by her parents, who were members of Earth's space agency. She wasn't there to represent Earth's governments or to speak on behalf of her people. No, Ellie had no official role at all, but she was a genius, with a mind far sharper than anyone could have imagined. While the council laughed and dismissed her home planet, Ellie heard every word they said, and she could feel the weight of their words pressing down on her. Earth was seen as weak, unimportant, and incapable of joining the stars. But Ellie didn't see Earth the way the galaxy did. She saw the potential. She saw a world full of passionate people, of creative minds, and of those who, despite their challenges, never gave up. She saw humans who dreamed big, who built things with their own hands, who reached for the stars even when they seemed so far away. Ellie sat in the corner of the meeting room, her mind racing with ideas. She could hear the laughter of the Galactic Council in her ears, but it only fueled her determination. I'll show them, she whispered to herself. I'll show them that Earth isn't just a joke. At that moment, Ellie made a decision. She wasn't going to let her planet be looked down upon anymore. She would find a way to prove that Earth had something valuable to offer, a way to show the galaxy that humanity wasn't weak or unimportant. The Council would see that humans were capable of greatness. They would have to respect Earth. Ellie knew it wouldn't be easy. She was just a child, after all. But she also knew something that the Council didn't. Humans had something the galaxy's other civilizations didn't. A unique ability to innovate, to take something small and turn it into something extraordinary. They had imagination, and most importantly, they had hope. As long as they believed in themselves, they could accomplish anything. With a determined look in her eyes, Ellie stood up from her seat. The Council was still laughing and talking about Earth's lack of significance, but Ellie's mind was already far away. She knew that the path ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that she was about to change everything. And with that, Earth's story was about to take an unexpected turn. one that would make the galaxy realize that they had underestimated humanity's potential. Ellie sat in her room, staring out of the window at the stars. The bright lights in the sky seemed so far away, but she knew that one day she would reach them. That moment in the Galactic Council Hall still echoed in her mind. The laughter, the mocking words, she could still hear them, and each one only made her more determined. Earth might be small, but Ellie believed that humans were capable of great things. All they needed was a chance to show it. She was not like most kids her age. While other children were playing games or spending time with friends, Ellie spent every moment studying. She was different. A prodigy in engineering, she had been building things since she could remember. From small gadgets to large machines, Ellie's mind never stopped working. But what she had in her hands now wasn't just any project. This was going to change everything. Her parents didn't fully understand. They were part of Earth's space program, working hard to make sure humanity could one day join the stars. But they didn't know that Ellie had something far more ambitious in mind. For them, the idea of Earth being part of the galactic community seemed like a far-off dream. But for Ellie, it was a reality she was going to make happen. Each day after school, Ellie would slip away to her secret workshop, hidden deep in the basement of their home. No one knew about it, not even her parents. She kept it hidden because what she was doing was no small task. Ellie was working on something that would make the galaxy take notice. She was building the ultimate warship, one powerful enough to change the balance of power in space. She began with sketches, lots of them. Blueprints filled the walls of her small workshop, each one more detailed than the last. She studied alien technology, the designs of ships and machines from the other species in the galaxy. She knew that Earth didn't have the advanced materials or the technology of the other civilizations, but Ellie was creative. She had a unique mind, and she could take the simplest ideas and turn them into something incredible. Over the next few months, Ellie worked day and night. Her fingers flew across the control panels, assembling and welding pieces together. She scoured the planet for the materials she needed, taking parts from old space stations and broken satellites. Every time she thought she was running out of resources, she would find a new way to make something work. The challenges didn't scare her. They only pushed her to think harder, to innovate more. Ellie's warship wasn't just a ship. It was a symbol of everything humanity could achieve if they dared to dream. The Titan, as she called it, was going to be unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its core was built from a rare element Ellie had discovered deep underground, a material that could withstand extreme temperatures and massive amounts of pressure. The ship was designed to be sleek and fast, capable of dodging enemy fire while remaining almost invisible in space. Ellie knew she was pushing the boundaries of science, but she believed in her ideas, even if no one else did. As the ship began to take shape, Ellie spent more and more time fine-tuning its systems. She designed advanced engines capable of faster-than-light travel. The weapons systems were based on alien technology she had studied, but they were built using only Earth's resources. The Titan had shields that could deflect energy blasts and a cloaking device that would make it nearly impossible to detect. But most importantly, Ellie designed it to be powered by the stars themselves, using a revolutionary new energy source she had discovered during her research. There were times when Ellie doubted herself. Sometimes, when she was alone in a workshop, she would look at the massive ship and wonder if she was really doing the right thing. Could a child really build something that could challenge the galaxy's most powerful fleets? Could Earth, a planet so young and small, stand up against the likes of the other civilizations? But each time, Ellie pushed those doubts away. She had a vision, and she was determined to see it through. Her parents never questioned her long hours in the basement. They thought she was simply working on another school project or reading about space. They never suspected that their daughter was building something that could change the course of history. Ellie kept her secret well. The Titan was slowly becoming more than just a ship. It was becoming a symbol of what humanity could achieve if they were willing to push the limits of what was thought possible. Ellie's heart swelled with pride every time she saw it come to life, piece by piece. She knew it wouldn't be long before it was ready, and when that time came, the galaxy would see Earth in a whole new light. Ellie stood in front of the Titan, her hands on her hips, gazing up at the massive structure. It wasn't finished yet, but it would be soon. She smiled, knowing that she was on the verge of something great. The stars were no longer out of reach. Earth was going to show the galaxy that it was not to be underestimated. And Ellie, the child who had been dismissed as just another human, was about to prove that Earth's greatest strength was its ability to dream, and to make those dreams come true. Ellie stood in the center of her workshop, hands on her hips, staring up at the nearly completed ship. The Titan was no longer just a dream. It was real, a testament to her dedication, ingenuity, and the endless hours of hard work. Every inch of it had been carefully crafted, every part designed with precision. It was beautiful, powerful, and more than she had ever imagined it could be. And yet, Ellie knew that this was only the beginning. The true test was still ahead. The ship's hull gleamed under the lights of her workshop, its surface smooth and flawless. It was large, larger than any ship Earth had ever built, and far more advanced than anything humanity had ever seen. Ellie had designed it to be stealthy, agile, and most importantly, nearly invincible. Its core was made from a unique combination of metals and energy sources that she had carefully pieced together, and it would be able to harness the power of the stars themselves. The engines, based on advanced theories she had studied, were capable of faster-than-light travel. The Titan would be able to cross vast distances in the blink of an eye. Ellie had also ensured that the ship's weapons were formidable. She had designed energy beams powerful enough to take down even the largest of enemy ships, and its defensive shields, those were the ship's crowning achievement. They could absorb and redirect energy, making the Titan nearly impossible to damage. Ellie had worked tirelessly to make sure that no force in the galaxy could challenge it. But the most important thing wasn't the ship's power, it was the symbol of what it represented. The Titan was the embodiment of Earth's potential. Ellie had built it with her own hands, using nothing but Earth's resources, Earth's knowledge, and her own brilliant mind. It was proof that Earth, a small and overlooked planet, could stand shoulder to shoulder with the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. She had kept the project a secret from everyone, even her parents. They knew she was interested in space and technology, but they had no idea that their daughter had built the most powerful warship ever created. Ellie had always been careful, making sure that no one would discover what she was working on. But now, as the ship stood before her, Ellie knew that it was time. The Titan was ready. She took a deep breath and walked toward the ship's control panel. It was time for the first test flight. Her fingers hovered over the buttons, and for a moment, Ellie hesitated. This was it. There would be no turning back once she activated the ship. She would either succeed or she would fail. But Ellie wasn't the type to give up. She had come too far. With a swift motion, she pressed the button. The Titan hummed to life, its engines igniting with a low, powerful rumble. Ellie's heart raced as she felt the ship lift off the ground. It was more than just a machine now. It was alive. The Titan was responding to her, and for the first time, Ellie felt a connection with it. Together, they would prove the galaxy wrong. The ship ascended into the sky, climbing higher and higher until Earth's atmosphere was a distant memory. Ellie's hands moved confidently across the controls, guiding the Titan through the stars. She tested its speed, pushing it to its limits. The ship flew faster than she had ever dreamed possible, easily reaching the edge of the solar system within seconds. Ellie smiled, knowing that the Titan was everything she had hoped for, and more. She engaged the cloaking device, and instantly, the ship disappeared from the view of any onlookers. Ellie's grin widened as she navigated the ship through space, invisible to any sensors. It was a strange feeling, being completely undetectable. She felt like a ghost, floating through the cosmos, free from the restrictions of space and time. The Titan was her creation, and it was flawless. But Ellie wasn't done yet. She had more tests to perform. She activated the ship's weapon systems, preparing for a simulated battle. The Titan responded with perfect precision, firing energy blasts that shattered the training targets she had set up in space. Ellie watched with pride as the ship's beams cut through the targets like they were made of paper. The ship's power was beyond anything she could have imagined. The Titan was a force to be reckoned with. After several hours of testing, Ellie finally brought the ship back to Earth. She landed it softly, the ship's engines humming as it touched down in the remote location where she had built it. Ellie stepped out of the control room, her heart still racing from the excitement. She had done it. The Titan had passed every test. It was perfect. Ellie stood in front of the ship, her chest swelling with pride. She knew that this was just the beginning. The Titan was ready to show the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. It was time to take the next step. Ellie wasn't going to just sit back and watch the galaxy laugh anymore. She was going to make them see the truth. Earth had arrived. And Ellie, the young child who had once been laughed at, was about to change everything. Ellie stood in front of the Titan, her heart pounding in her chest. The ship was a masterpiece, a product of her dreams, and now it was time for her to take the next step. The galaxy had laughed at Earth, but it was about to learn that humans were capable of so much more. Ellie knew what she had to do. She wasn't just going to keep the Titan a secret any longer. She was going to show the galaxy that Earth was a force to be reckoned with. She sat at the communication panel inside the Titan, her fingers moving quickly over the controls. She had spent days crafting the perfect message, one that would make the galaxy sit up and take notice. With a deep breath, she pressed a button, sending her message to the Galactic Council. Earth has arrived. Ellie's voice echoed through the speakers. The message was simple, but it carried a weight that was impossible to ignore. Ellie knew that it would be met with disbelief, mockery, and perhaps even anger. The Council had already shown how little they thought of Earth, but Ellie wasn't afraid. She was ready for whatever came next. As the message spread through the galaxy, it didn't take long for the Council to respond. At first, the leaders of the different species couldn't believe it. A child, a human child, had the audacity to send such a bold message. It wasn't long before the Council was in chaos, with representatives arguing over how to handle this new development. Some wanted to ignore it, thinking it was just a childish prank. Others, more cautious, believed that Earth's sudden declaration could be a sign of something far more serious. On the Council's central planet, Zokra, the reptilian leader who had once laughed at Earth, was the first to speak up. "It's impossible," he muttered under his breath. "A child. They must be joking." But the Viora representative, the silver-skinned alien who had once suggested that Earth might be worth a chance, raised a hand to silence the room. "We cannot ignore this," he said. "Something is happening on Earth. We must investigate." Zokra and others protested, but the decision was made. A fleet of ships would be sent to Earth to investigate the message and, if necessary, neutralize any threat the planet might pose. The Council agreed that it was better to be safe than sorry. Earth, in their minds, was still a weak and primitive world, and they didn't want to take any chances. Back on Earth, Ellie was watching the news when she saw the first signs of the Council's response. Alien ships were beginning to appear in Earth's atmosphere, their sleek forms gliding silently through the sky. Ellie's heart skipped a beat. This was it. The galaxy was coming to Earth. The Titan was ready, but so was Ellie. She wasn't afraid. This was the moment she had been waiting for. With determination in her eyes, Ellie sat at the controls of the Titan once more. She activated the ship's cloaking device, making it disappear from view, and began to prepare for the arrival of the alien fleet. Her fingers danced over the buttons as she calculated the perfect strategy. The Titan was fast, stealthy, and powerful. She had designed it to be the ultimate weapon, and now she would use it to show the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated. The first wave of alien ships arrived, their powerful engines humming as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Ellie could see them on her radar, moving in formation toward the planet's surface. She knew they would be expecting to find a helpless, defenseless world. What they didn't realize was that Earth's greatest weapon was already waiting for them. Ellie watched as the ships drew closer, the tension in the air thick. Her hand hovered over the button that would bring the Titan out of hiding. She waited until the ships were in the perfect position, and then, with a quick motion, she activated the ship's engines. The Titan shot out of the atmosphere, faster than the alien ships could react. For a moment, the fleet was stunned. The Titan appeared out of nowhere, its sleek design and powerful engines leaving the aliens in awe. Ellie smiled to herself. The Titan wasn't just a ship, it was a statement. She had come to show the galaxy that Earth was no longer a joke. The alien ships tried to respond, firing their weapons at the Titan, but Ellie was already one step ahead. She activated the ship's advanced shields, which absorbed the energy from the blasts, and redirected it back toward the attackers. The aliens were caught off guard, unable to understand how the Titan could be so powerful. But Ellie wasn't finished yet. She engaged the Titan's weapon systems, firing a single beam of energy that cut through one of the alien ships like it was nothing. The other ships quickly retreated, realizing that they were no match for the Titan's power. Ellie watched as the fleet scattered, their ships retreating back into space. They had underestimated her. They had underestimated Earth. But now, they knew the truth. Earth had a new strength, a strength that would not be ignored. As the alien fleet disappeared into the stars, Ellie sat back in her seat, a sense of satisfaction washing over her. The galaxy had laughed at Earth, but now they would see that humanity had something to offer, a force to be reckoned with. The Titan had proven that Earth was not weak, and Ellie had proven that one human child could change the course of history. The victory over the alien fleet was just the beginning. Ellie sat in the cockpit of the Titan, staring at the stars outside. Her heart was still racing from the battle, but a sense of calm had settled over her. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, and now they knew better. But what would happen next? Ellie had just taken the first step, but there was much more to do. She couldn't let her guard down now. The galaxy would react, and she had to be ready for whatever came next. Back on Earth, the news of the Titan's success spread like wildfire. People everywhere were talking about it. The once ignored planet was suddenly the center of attention. For the first time, humanity was no longer seen as weak or insignificant. The Titan had proven that Earth was capable of much more than the galaxy had ever imagined. Ellie's parents, still unaware of the full extent of what their daughter had done, were bombarded with questions from the media. "What is your daughter working on?" They were asked again and again. They didn't know how to respond. They had no idea that Ellie had built a ship powerful enough to challenge the galaxy's greatest fleets. They thought it was just another project she was working on, like the countless others before it. But now, it was clear that this project was something much bigger. As the days passed, Ellie watched from the Titan as the galaxy began to react to the news. The Galactic Council, still reeling from the defeat, called an emergency meeting. Representatives from different planets and species gathered to discuss the sudden appearance of the Titan and what it meant for the future. Some argued that Earth was a threat that needed to be dealt with immediately. Others, more cautious, believed that humanity should be given a chance to prove themselves. Zokra, the reptilian leader who had once mocked Earth, was furious. "We cannot allow this," he growled. "A child has created a warship that destroyed one of our fleets. If Earth is allowed to continue like this, they will soon be a power stronger than any of us." The Viora representative, the silver-skinned alien who had once seen potential in Earth, disagreed. "We cannot ignore them any longer," he said. "The Titan has proven that Earth is capable of much more than we realized. We must approach this with caution, but we must also recognize their strength." The debate raged on for hours, but in the end, the Council decided that Earth was too important to ignore. They knew that the human race had the potential to change the balance of power in the galaxy, and that made them a key player in the future of the universe. But what would Earth do next? Would they seek to build alliances, or would they become a force that threatened the peace of the galaxy? As Ellie observed the Council's reactions from her hidden location, she realized that her message had been received loud and clear. The galaxy was no longer laughing at Earth. In fact, they were now watching with great interest. And Ellie knew that the next step was even more important than the first. She couldn't afford to be reckless, but she also couldn't let fear hold her back. The Titan was ready. Earth was ready. Ellie knew she had to act quickly. She couldn't let the galaxy have time to regroup. With the Titan at her command, she had the power to make a real impact. But Ellie didn't want to start a war. She just wanted to show the galaxy that Earth could be a force for good, one that would work with others, not against them. She began to send messages to the leaders of different civilizations, offering peace and cooperation. The Titan was her way of showing that Earth wasn't just a small, defenseless planet. They had the strength to stand alongside the greatest powers in the galaxy. But Ellie knew that the message had to be delivered carefully. The galaxy wasn't ready to trust humanity yet, but with time and effort, she hoped to change that. As the days passed, Ellie received messages from the leaders of other worlds. Some were curious, asking how Earth had built the Titan and what their intentions were. Others were cautious, warning her not to make any sudden moves. But Ellie was patient. She knew that trust would take time, and she was willing to wait. But not everyone was willing to wait. As Earth's newfound strength spread through the galaxy, other civilizations began to see Earth as a potential threat. Some, like the Threxians, a warlike species known for their fierce aggression, began to make plans of their own. They saw the Titan as a challenge to their own dominance and began to prepare for a confrontation. Ellie didn't know it yet, but the ripple effect of her actions was already being felt across the galaxy. The Titan had changed everything. Some saw it as a symbol of hope, a chance for a brighter future. But others saw it as a dangerous new power, one that could shift the balance of the galaxy forever. As the Titan floated silently through space, Ellie felt the weight of what she had started. The galaxy was watching, and every decision she made from here on out would shape the future of Earth and the universe. The Titan had proven that humans were no longer to be underestimated. But what would the galaxy do next? Ellie didn't know, but she was ready for whatever came her way. Ellie sat quietly in the cockpit of the Titan, watching as the stars twinkled in the vast emptiness of space. It had been weeks since the first confrontation with the alien fleet, and while many of the galaxy's leaders had begun to reconsider their views on Earth, Ellie knew that not all of them were convinced. The Titan had proven Earth's strength, but there were still those who saw it as a threat. And now, Ellie could feel that a storm was coming, one that she wasn't sure Earth would be able to avoid. Her fingers moved slowly across the control panel as she sent out another message to the Galactic Council. She had made it clear that Earth sought peace, that humanity was not looking for a fight. But the response had been mixed. Some civilizations, like the Viora, had expressed interest in peaceful cooperation, even offering trade and knowledge. Others, like the Threxians, had begun making ominous moves, preparing for what they saw as an inevitable conflict. Ellie sighed and leaned back in her seat. She didn't want a war. She just wanted to prove that Earth had the right to be taken seriously. But with each passing day, tensions were rising. She could feel the weight of it all pressing on her shoulders. The fate of Earth rested on her actions. If she made the wrong move, everything she had worked for could come crashing down. Suddenly, her communications panel buzzed to life. A message from the Viora representative. Ellie quickly opened it, hoping for good news. "We have spoken with the Council," the message began. "We believe your intentions are genuine, and we wish to support your cause. However, there are many who still see Earth as a threat. If you truly wish for peace, you must prove it. The Threxians are preparing to strike, and if they attack, the entire galaxy will be thrown into chaos." Ellie's heart skipped a beat. She had feared this moment, but hearing it spoken aloud made it feel even more real. The Threxians had always been aggressive, and now they were preparing for war. Ellie knew that she couldn't let that happen. She couldn't let Earth's first steps into the galactic stage end in destruction. "I will do everything I can to stop them," Ellie replied, determination flooding her veins. She couldn't back down now. The Titan was her creation, and it was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of what Earth could achieve. She couldn't let that symbol be destroyed. Ellie quickly contacted the leaders of other peaceful civilizations, asking for help. The Viora had already offered their support, but Ellie needed more. She needed a coalition of like-minded species to stand together against the growing threat. But she also knew that she had to be careful. The galaxy was watching, and one wrong move could destroy everything. As Ellie began to form alliances, she continued to monitor the Threxians. Their ships were gathering near the edge of the solar system, and their movements were growing bolder. They had been making threats, sending messages to the Galactic Council, demanding that Earth be neutralized. The more Ellie saw of the Threxian ships, the more she realized how dangerous they could be. Their fleets were vast, and their weapons were powerful. But Ellie wasn't afraid. She had the Titan, and she knew how to use it. She had already shown the galaxy that Earth was not to be underestimated, and she wasn't going to let the Threxians destroy everything she had worked for. Days passed, and Ellie worked tirelessly to build a coalition of civilizations that supported peace. She wasn't asking for an alliance of war. She was asking for an alliance of trust, one that would stand against the Threxian threat and prove that Earth and the galaxy could work together. But the Threxians didn't see it that way. They saw Earth as a challenge to their dominance, and they were not about to back down. One evening, Ellie received a message. It was from the Threxian leader. "You have shown your strength, human child." The message began, "But strength alone will not save you. You have made a mistake by challenging us. Prepare for the consequences." Ellie's hands tightened around the control panel. She had known this was coming, but hearing it from the Threxian leader himself made it feel even more real. The storm was no longer on the horizon. It was here. The next morning, the Threxian fleet appeared in Earth's orbit, their massive ships casting long shadows over the planet below. Ellie didn't waste any time. She activated the Titan, and it soared into the sky, cloaked and ready for battle. The Threxians had come, but Earth would not back down. Ellie's heart was racing, but her mind was clear. She had fought for this moment, and she would not let the Threxians destroy Earth's future. The Titan was her shield, her weapon, and her message to the galaxy. And now, as the Threxian fleet loomed above Earth, Ellie prepared for the fight that would determine Earth's place in the stars. The galaxy was watching, and Ellie knew that the battle ahead would change everything. The Threxian fleet loomed over Earth, its massive ships casting shadows across the planet below. Ellie sat in the cockpit of the Titan, watching the fleet through the ship's advanced sensors. The Threxians had come to Earth, their weapons prepared and their intentions clear. They wanted to show Earth its place in the galaxy, and they thought the Titan was the key to forcing humanity to bow down. But Ellie wasn't going to let that happen. She had come this far, and she wasn't going to back down now. The Titan was more than just a weapon. It was proof that Earth was no longer a helpless, small planet. It was a symbol of humanity's strength, intelligence, and determination. And Ellie would do whatever it took to protect that symbol. With a steady hand, Ellie activated the Titan's engines. The ship moved smoothly, cloaking itself as it shot out of Earth's atmosphere, heading straight toward the Threxian fleet. Her heart pounded in her chest, but she knew this was the moment. The time for talk was over. It was time for action. As she approached the fleet, Ellie sent out a message to the Threxian leader. "I will not let you destroy Earth," she said, her voice steady and strong. "If you want to fight, then you'll have to fight me." For a moment, there was silence. Then, the Threxian leader's voice crackled over the comms. "You are bold, human child, but you will soon learn that the galaxy does not bend to your will. Prepare to face the consequences of your actions." Ellie didn't respond. Instead, she focused on the task ahead. She had one chance to stop the Threxians from destroying everything. Her mind raced as she calculated the best approach. The Titan was faster, more advanced, and more powerful than anything the Threxians had, but they outnumbered her. She needed to be smart. Ellie knew that the Threxians relied on their massive ships, their sheer firepower, to intimidate their enemies. But they had underestimated Earth and her. The Titan was designed to be agile, to move quickly and strike hard. Ellie wasn't about to fight on their terms. She would use the Titan's speed and stealth to her advantage. She activated the ship's cloaking device once more, disappearing from the Threxian sensors. The fleet began to move, searching for her, but Ellie was already inside their ranks, moving silently among the ships. Then, in a flash, the Titan appeared right in front of the largest Threxian ship. Ellie fired a powerful energy blast, disabling the ship's shields. The Threxians were caught off guard. Before they could react, Ellie fired another shot, hitting the ship's engines and sending it into a spiral. It was a quick, decisive strike. Exactly what Ellie needed to show the Threxians that Earth was not to be underestimated. The Threxians scrambled, firing at the Titan in a desperate attempt to retaliate. But Ellie was already on the move, using the ship's advanced maneuvers to avoid their shots. She didn't need to destroy their entire fleet. She just needed to prove a point. As the battle raged on, Ellie's allies began to arrive. The Viora fleet appeared, their sleek ships flying in perfect formation. They had come to support Earth, to stand with Ellie against the Threxian threat. Ellie's heart swelled with pride. Earth wasn't alone anymore. The galaxy had come to recognize the value of humanity. The Threxians, realizing that they were now outnumbered, began to retreat. Their ships pulled back, moving away from Earth and heading toward the edges of the solar system. Ellie could see them on the sensors, their ships scattering in all directions. Ellie let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The battle was over. Earth had won. But it wasn't just a victory in battle. It was a victory for humanity, for every person on Earth who had ever been overlooked or underestimated. Ellie had shown the galaxy that Earth wasn't just a planet to be ignored. Earth was a force to be reckoned with. As the Threxian fleet disappeared into the distance, Ellie sent out a message to the galaxy. We don't want war. We want peace. But we will protect ourselves. Earth is no longer a joke. We have strength. We have power. And we are ready to join the galaxy as equals. The message echoed through the stars. And for the first time, the galaxy listened. Back on Earth, people watched as the Titan returned, landing softly on the ground. Ellie's parents, who had been kept in the dark about the full extent of her mission, were waiting for her. They ran to her as she stepped out of the ship, their faces filled with pride and relief. Ellie smiled, knowing that this moment marked the beginning of a new era. Earth was no longer just a planet on the edge of the galaxy. Earth was now a player on the galactic stage. And Ellie, the human child who had built the Titan, was the one who had made it all possible. The galaxy would never laugh at Earth again.